Welcome to Issues with Cartoons, the show about comics and cartoons. My name is Kyle Windle.
And I am Carl Lucas.
And we are headlong into the final episodes of Season 1 of Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the 2010 cult classic. Carl, this is our second three-parter that we're starting off here.
This Hostage Earth.
Yeah. Written by Chris Yost and Josh Fine, directed by Michael Ryan.
Yeah, it's action packed and it's definitely ramping up.
What was your impression of the show just kind of overall, like with this episode?
This episode just action. Non-stop action. It got a really simple setup. It's cool. They're after these stones. The Masters of the Universe are guarding each stone, and then the
Masters of Evil, not the Masters of the Universe. Yeah, He-Man is not here, but it would be cool if he were.
It's not a Skeletor podcast. Maybe one day. Maybe one day.
We should cover He-Man. No, but yeah, the Masters of Evil are kind of dividing amongst around the world to protect these runes for the ultimate plot that this has all kind of been leading toward.
It's cool because it's set up like Crimson Dynamo. And he shows up again here, and Enchantress and Executioner, like all the villains we see in this episode, we have seen before.
Yeah,
and it's good continuity as usual, as we come to expect from the show.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I was thinking about this when they were talking about how Captain America recognized the technology from his last mission in World War II, and that was all the way in episode 4. Mm-hmm. And then all these characters from the Masters of Evil, a lot of that groundwork was laid in the Breakout two-parter.
Yeah, a lot of these characters
and
are
a lot of
Breakout.
So all of this stuff and the Enchantress and the Executioner first popping up in the Thor minis. Mm-hmm. All these seeds were planted 20 some episodes ago. So we are kind of in a true season finale. We are kind of tying up all these plot threads that are kind of converging.
And I love the scene with Cap where he was talking, we're going a little bit out of order here.
That's okay.
Where he was talking about, I've seen this technology in my time because it plays in a theme of there's nothing new under the sun.
Right.
Everything repeats, We're always stuck in a cycle and we're always doing the same things over and over. We just call it something different. We got AI technology, but it's really just reading the internet to us in a new way.
Right.
There's no new technology.
Right. It's the NPCs of video games, just you can play with the NPC in real life now. No, but like you're exactly right. And it's cool too that what was just kind of a fun little, I think even in the episode 4, I think we even said, it's a cool little tie-in to the Thor mythology. It's just a cool adventure that Cap goes on. But it's not just a cool adventure that Cap goes on. It actually ties in thematically. There's a reason that castle was where they were doing that particular experiment, because it was one of these fault lines of Yggdrasil, like the World Tree. Yeah.
Line,
I think you had it right. Ley line, whatever it was. Listeners will correct us, I'm sure. But they all fit together, and I really like that.
It brings it back to that Cap episode. They're using that as Guardian, mysticism.
Yeah,
to kind of get what they want.
And it was really cool, actually, later when Thor shows up to the actual site of that castle, and you see the wreckage of the machines that the Red Skull had been using in that episode. All the stuff that was in that scene. Yeah, all the stuff in that scene was from that episode. All the broken glass and all those containers that were torn apart, those were from that episode.
Yeah, and then that's where we lose Bucky too.
Yeah.
Sadly.
For a little while.
At the castle, yeah. So let's rewind. Let's go back to the beginning and just take it from the top like we normally do.
Take it from the top, Carl.
We have Carnilla is battling.
That was cool.
Just kind of just blasting stuff, energies. A quick little scene there. And she gets turned to stone. Yeah, first and last appearance of Carnilla, probably. Really?
I don't think Carnilla comes back, but
for sure they were setting her up.
Well, they kind of seemed like they were, but then she gets stoned by Grey Gargoyle. And then Grey Gargoyle gets done kind of dirty.
Gets betrayed by Enchantress.
Yeah.
And they mention that later in the episode that Enchantress betrays everyone.
Yeah.
Like, Enchantress isn't loyal to everyone. And we kind of talked about that in our comic coverage, where, like, Loki first encounters Enchantress, and he's like, what a beautiful woman. I'd love to date her, but I can never trust her. She's so evil. She's too evil for me, Loki. Master of Mischief.
Game recognizes game with Loki and Enchantress. No, but that's exactly right. And I think that will play out. We've already seen it play out in this first scene, but it will play out throughout. So, and there's actually lots of different double crosses in this.
Yeah, so they're like essentially Great Gargoyles there and the Masters of Evil, and they're trying to trade for these Norn stones. You know, they're like these Asgardian stones or magic. And the Masters of Evil say something really, really hyperbolic, that they don't want to just be Masters of Evil. They want to be masters of the earth.
Yeah.
They want to take over.
And no wonder you call them masters of the universe, because their ambition is masters of everything.
Yeah. Take it over.
Take it all over. So, after that was the cold open. So after the cold open, we cut to Avengers Mansion, where Iron Man has told Thor that he's figured out a way to go home.
And that's the beginning of the Avengers here.
Which is the scene where Cap says he recognizes the technology.
We're all about trying to get Thor back to Asgard.
Right.
Just like the end of last episode.
Because since Casket of Ancient Winters, which was episode maybe 18, since that episode, he's been cut off from going home. And we also, at the same time, have Wasp try and bring Hank back, and he's very much reluctant because of the events of the Ultron two-parter.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes, because it is a little bit of a character moment. We get, like, just the introduction of what the Avengers will be doing this episode, but it is, like, a little bit more character development between Jan and Hank. And we keep going back to, it's the best version of these characters.
I was going to say this exact same thing.
It's like, it doesn't get better.
It doesn't. And also, like, there are versions of the Wasp in comics that I like more, or that I like more than maybe the comic versions of Hank. But them together, this is my favorite of them as a couple in any version. Like, I like them better in this show than I do in the movies. I like it better than in the comics even. You buy their relationship. And I think a large part of that is that Hank is genuinely he's disgusted by what happened, and he's so regretful and guilty and guilt-ridden by what happened
with Ultron.
And it's so counter to what his character has been this whole time, which is a pacifist. And I just really buy that Jan would love him for that.
And want to know what else makes it work? Like, in comparison to 616, this version of Jan is comedic relief.
Yes.
And also, this version of Jan isn't as flirty as 616.
Yes.
In 616, there's a lot of captions, there's a lot of dialogue where Jan's just like, wow, look how beautiful Thor's hair is.
Particularly in Stan Lee written.
Yeah, and it's always like the other guy. There's this romantic tension where, like, Hank doesn't want to commit to Wasp. Right. Yes, that creates interest, but it's more interesting just seeing them as a couple, and Jan's just accepting Hank.
Yes.
And it's not like this, I'm trying to get with other guys. It's just like, no, me and Hank are both scientists. We both really get along.
There's more to Jan than just who she's interested in romantically, right? Like, she's got her own motivations. She's got her own interests, her own personality, yes. And I think that shines through, and those two personalities jive really well together. I love that about this show. All right, so we also get...
and then we get our Bucky flashback.
A little flashback, to the portals to the Nine Realms, and that tie into the Captain America mission.
They are ley lines. They're dimensional ley lines.
Ley lines,
that's what they call them,
the conceit of this episode is that there are 9 ley lines, or 8 ley lines around Earth, around Midgard, that are connective points to the other realms of Yggdrasil, of the World Tree. So, of Jotunheim and of Svartalheim and Asgard and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so the plot from the Captain America mission was that Red Skull had dialed into, I guess, Jotunheim, because he was pulling out the Frost Giant. that castle was on one of those ley lines. So what Zemo and Enchantress are doing now is they're taking these Norn stones that they took from Karnilla, and they're going to put them in these ley lines to open portals to the World Tree, to the other realms.
Yeah. These different parts of Asgard.
Yeah. So what you get is this really cool kind of setup where you have these MacGuffins around the world. Mm-hmm. So it's a globe-trotting adventure, which I love. You have these different masters of evil guarding different Norn stones, and then you have these Avengers all split up. And what you get is not only are they in interesting locations, but they're in interesting matchups with characters that they're not used to fighting in a lot of cases.
It's almost like a fighting game.
It honestly is.
It's almost like Mortal Kombat. It's like let's go.
It's like Marvel vs. Capcom kind of thing. Like, yeah, I love that comparison because it is very video gamified in a way.
And the matchups they do in the episode are cool. They don't just throw like characters. They didn't throw Hulk against Abomination. They put Jan against Abomination. They put Cap against Crimson Dynamo. It's a lot of fun to have the contrast between the characters.
And on the second half of this episode, we always talk about comics that relate to the content of the cartoon.
Right.
I had a really hard time figuring out, okay, what... Because this is not strictly an adaptation of any story that I'm aware of. Maybe a listener will correct me and say, well, why on earth didn't you cover this comic?
We can't read everything.
There's probably a comic that I didn't find in my research. But knowing who the person is behind all this and knowing kind of like the setup of hero versus villains they don't normally fight, I had a really hard time. But this was one of the parts that made me think of Acts of Vengeance, because that's the setup of Acts of Vengeance. The conceit of Acts of Vengeance is superheroes fighting villains they're not used to fighting and having a really hard time with it. So Wasp fights Abomination. Iron Man fights the Living Laser, which is maybe the closest matchup we get that's normal.
To their specific rogue.
But Cap fights Crimson Dynamo, which was super fun. Hawkeye and Chemistro. Black Panther and Wonder Man was really cool.
That was interesting. They have an interesting conversation.
They had a great character dialogue thing.
When they're going over the ley lines, though, I do want to say it does have my favorite Hulk line. Where they're talking about the Asgardian tree and stuff, and then Hulk's just like, big tree. Which I love. I'm like, way to make it simple for me, Hulk.
I know.
Thank you.
Yeah, what is this big word, this big Norse word? Oh, it's just a big tree.
I also had a note here that there was some cool sound design with Iron Man's voice in the briefing room. I noticed had some reverb on it. They were in a hall or whatever. I had the TV really cranked when I watched this, so it had some reverbs in it, and they dropped the line "Avengers disassemble."
I made a note about this too.
Yeah. Which Kyle, you want to tell the people what Avenger disassembled is?
Sure. So it's the infamous, I guess, storyline that launched Brian Bendis' run on the Avengers. So he took over the Avengers title, which was the same title that Kurt Busiek and George Paris had started in 1998. Had taken over by other writers in the interim, and then Bendis had his turn, and his very first storyline was to literally blow up everything. And Avengers Mansion was destroyed, Hawkeye died, the Vision was destroyed, She-Hulk went crazy, Jack of Hearts and Scott Lang both died, and Wanda infamously snapped.
House of M.
It led directly into House of M. Led directly into House of M, Young Avengers, and New Avengers. So it was the catalyst for all three of those storylines. And
they had their own logo. They had Avengers Disassembled, and it was on all the Marvel comics. Spider-Man had.
It was a big crossover event. Yeah, it was the big crossover event of the
early 2000s.
Early 2000s. Honestly, it was one of Joe Quesada's first big crossover events. Was Avengers Disassembled. Honestly, it led directly into the Ed Brubaker Captain America run later. It really tied a great run. It led into J. Michael Straczynski's Thor later. You get Avengers Disassembled and then a whole bunch of great stuff after that.
Yeah.
So as maligned as some people may view that event, very significant for comics in the early 2000s, for Marvel at least. But yeah, so it gets a little, I think, kind of cutesy reference. I don't think it's anything more than that, but it's hard to hear Avengers disassemble
and not think
about it.
Like they were aware of putting that in there. Yeah. Like, come on.
Side note, not related to anything except Avengers Assemble. Like, we are sort of robbed of not having Scarlet Witch on this show at all.
Yeah,
like,
or Quicksilver.
Huge missed opportunity. And maybe if they had another season, we would have gotten it. But they belong in a show that is supposed to be the definitive Avengers cartoon.
It's Quicksilver and Patrio and Wanda have such a cool arc.
Oh, yeah.
Too, like, even in the original comics as they are. Like, they're both Brotherhood of Mutants. They're the daughter and son of Magneto, and they eventually become Avengers and stuff. It's a really cool storyline.
Important Avengers, too. I can't highlight enough. Like, when you think of, like, top 10 most important Avengers, Wanda is in that top 10.
All the books.
And even, like, you can maybe not have Quicksilver there. I don't think you should, but to not include Wanda is crazy to me. And so it's a shame. But anyway, so back to this episode.
Enchantress promises Zemo Midgard. So there's like a little bit of, there's a little bit of, they're making deals and stuff. And
what does
Zemo say?
What does he say? I didn't write it down.
Zemo's just kind of like, I think in this scene he's very hyper focused on, like, I know the Avengers very well right now.
Yeah.
And, like, I know how to take them out.
Yep.
And this plan's going to work better because taking them out individually will work better than taking them
Avengers, the strength of the Avengers is they fight together. And they there's nothing that they can't overcome when they work together. So the key is make sure they're not together. And having Zemo and Enchantress and an alliance together, those are two of the most backstabbers who ever backstabbed. So you know what's coming. You know what's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. And it happens a lot sooner than I remembered it happening because it happens almost immediately.
It does happen rather quickly.
But before we talk about that, I do want to just shout out my other favorite matchup is Hulk versus the Executioner.
Oh, that's such a good fight.
It's a great fight.
I love that
and
fight.
The scene of Hulk walking out of the water with the axe after he's beaten the crap out of him is a badass image. But I want to just mention that before we talk more about what happens, because what happens is Enchantress gets the hammer away from Thor and basically has him wrapped up.
Mm-hmm.
And so the big moment where all the Norn stones are being activated happens, and that's the moment when Zemo double crosses Enchantress and basically zaps her and puts that collar on her and takes her under his will and basically mind controls her. And it happens, like I said, so immediately. And so all of these across the globe, Midgard is now dialed into Yggdrasil, and these portals are opening. You get dark elves, you get
frost giants,
ghosts, water spirits. Like, all these things are appearing.
They're all breaking loose.
That thing where, like, Crimson Dynamo's shell opens up and they start attacking Crimson Dynamo, and Cap's just like watching it. It's like crazy.
Oh, with the ghosts. You mean?
Yeah, with the ghosts.
I did like this setup with Jan versus Abomination.
Yes, let's talk about this.
Which I have to bring up. It's like the first fight we see.
It's one of the best parts.
But Jan has like this like winter jacket uniform version of her costume, I should say. You know, which I thought was a cool design choice.
Yeah.
Because she's in the snow cavern, and she begins battling Abomination, and we do see Abomination does the thunderclap that
cool.
Hulk normally does.
That was cool.
Where he like slams his head together. They even have it in the MCU.
Yeah.
And it's in the Kirby books too.
Yeah.
Like, Hulk has this attack where he slams his hands together.
It's one of his video game moves.
Yeah, and then the wave of the concussion blast, rides out and knocks, blows up buildings or knocks walls down. But I thought it was cool that Abomination can do that too.
Yeah.
Like,
which makes perfect sense, and I like it.
Yeah. They didn't need to put that in there, but it was a nice touch. I thought that was cool.
And I like that they pit her against him, because again, we've talked about before how Ant-Man and the Wasp, like, on their face, don't seem like they would be very formidable. But so often they're the ones who solve the problem in a given episode, in a given adventure. And so I like putting this, the strongest villain against the most unsuspecting, insignificant, quote-unquote.
You could say the weakest physically.
Sure. Yeah, I hate calling her that because, inevitably...
In terms of, like, pure physical strength.
Sure.
She's the weakest.
Right, she is. And I think she ends up... She repeatedly shows herself to be one of the most capable, though. And I think it's cool that she has to figure out how to take out... And at the end of the day, she can't. She needs help. And that help comes when you find out that she's not alone and Hank followed her. And I wrote...
that's a great moment.
And I wrote in my notes, it is the most effective... I have dogged on Giant Man for 23 episodes. Because Giant Man is really just there to fall down. But this is the most effective Giant Man we get. Because he turns into Giant Man and he just punches Abomination into the dirt.
He goes hard.
He's pissed because he's going after Wasp. And it's an unfair matchup. Yeah, and he's stepping on Wasp. So he beats Abomination into the dirt. Has this triumphant reunion with Jan,
and that's what makes the scene work because
then what happens right after
at the beginning of the episode. So when he does show up, it's shocking.
It's the cavalry is here. It really is a good cavalry moment. But then what happens right after that? The Frost Giants appear.
Yes, the Frost Giants arrive. Yeah,
dwarfing him, and it's a really effective arrival for them because you had them. You had Giant Man towering... Well, first you had Abomination towering over Wasp, and then Giant Man towering over Abomination. And then you have these Frost Giants towering over Giant Man. So it's just like this Russian doll.
Scale.
Yeah, scale keeps escalating. Yeah, and, again, it's why having these size characters is such a visually... it's such a visual opportunity for these storytellers to use... these scales.
It's definitely it's well done. The tone's perfect. I mean, they pull it off really well. And then we're back to Dynamo. Really just beats up Cap. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. And I love this design of Crimson Dynamo.
I do too.
I'm a big fan of the spacesuit. I wish it was like in 616 almost.
I know.
I think it's like an awesome design of this character.
Contact at IssuesWithCartoons.com because I don't know if it's ever been like this. Because the Crimson Dynamo I know is very much just Russian Iron Man with kind of a cool like face mask that differentiates him a little bit, but nothing like this that I've seen. And if it does exist, I want to know because it's a cool visual. It's a great silhouette.
Yeah, it's a great character design.
And again, talking about scale, putting this giant mech against Captain America, who's just a guy. Yeah, it's a very cool visual, and he mops the floor. Other than like when Cap cracks the helmet to let the ghosts pretty much tear Crimson Dynamo apart.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened.
That's the most effective he's able to do. So then we cut back to, we're cutting all around the world.
Thor kind of warns Zemo that he'll be double-crossed eventually. Yeah. I think around this time, the Hulk's fighting Executioner. He calls him a lightweight.
I love that. The Hulk's personality is perfect on this show.
And let alone it's an underwater battle with Executioner, which is a lot of fun. It's like Hulk swimming underwater after her. I think Hulk gets thrown in the water, and the Executioner like dives after him and swings his axe and stuff. But it's a cool fight.
It is a good fight. It's a very good. Lots of good fights on this episode because again, you have these parents that you're not used to seeing, and I think that makes it really. The stakes are higher because you don't know if Cap is going to be able to beat Crimson Dynamo. You don't know.
No.
Even Living Laser, who is a Iron Man villain,
with Hawkeye,
or Chemistro with Hawkeye, but with Living Laser and Iron Man, even Living Laser gives Iron Man a good run for his money. The Hawkeye Chemistro fight made me laugh, especially when he called him Baseball Pete and Hypno Hustle.
Yeah, he didn't know who he was. I guess Chemistro is in the first episode.
He's in Breakout. But if you remember our coverage in that episode, we didn't know who Chemistro was either.
Yeah.
We didn't recognize him either. So I think it's very funny that Hawkeye also has no clue who this guy was. And I love the line where he's like, "You don't remember me? You punched me in the face."
Yeah. It was good. He's a comedic villain.
Sure.
I think it adds, something to the range of these characters. They can't all be dark and serious.
Yeah.
You gotta have somebody that's a little bit off.
You gotta have your journeyman supervillains, like just your workmen. Like just
you have a stormtrooper to your Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Right. You have to have exactly your red shirts.
Where are we at? So Hulk defeats Executioner, comes out of the water with Executioner's axe.
Yeah, just as water spirits start ascending out of the water. And then goblins are showing up in the graveyard where Wonder Man and Black Panther are. All these Norse mythology figures. It's like that scene in the Cap episode, but on a global scale.
It's like the ending of Ghostbusters. It's just like all the spirits. Just all the spirits you could possibly imagine that we've seen from Thor mythology all show up at the same time, and they all can enter Earth now because Enchantress fucked the realm up. And
right, yeah. It's perfect analogy.
So it's Ghostbusters 1. Except no Bill Murray.
It would have been better, though, if Bill Murray were the one behind it all. Yeah.
The only Ghostbuster that didn't want to do his job. Just wanted to chase booze and dames the whole time.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Now I want a Frank Miller... I want a Frank Miller
Ghostbusters comic.
You know what? He could do it.
I would like to see that cover.
He could make a movie. He's a director. He can make the next Ghostbusters directed by Frank Miller.
Film noir Ghostbusters.
So
that could work.
Thor gets Mjolnir back and breaks free, and then he frees Enchantress in the process and destroys the Norse stones.
Yes.
And a big flash of light happens.
Oh, it's like Cosmic Marvel
stuff happens for a minute. And Jarvis looks for all the Avengers and can't find them because they're all gone.
Scattered throughout the 9 realms.
Yeah, which is a great setup. Great setup for for an adventure, for a finale.
Yeah.
And so it cuts, and the only Avenger we see is Thor, and he's been transported to Asgard, where you would expect to see Balder or the Warriors 3 or Odin. But who do you see, Carl?
See Loki, God of Mischief.
Sitting on the throne.
Yeah.
Standing over Thor, who's kneeling in front of the throne of Loki in the Asgardian.
Yeah, no Odin. Loki's in control.
So, Carl, what are your thoughts? What's your analysis? What are your, and more interesting for me is, what are your predictions for what's happening?
Oh, okay. So I think Loki this is some kind of worst case scenario, obviously, and Loki is in control of Asgard.
Okay.
On some level, and I don't know if Thor's subservient to him. I don't know if reality's been altered.
Okay.
I don't think reality's been altered, but I do think Loki is in control of Asgard.
How do you think Loki fits into the plot that we've seen so far? Do you think he has it all involved?
The only thing you could really link Loki to it is if Loki has some kind of deal with Enchantress. This whole time.
Do you remember
Enchantress talking would be the whole show.
Right.
Because we haven't seen Loki that much.
Right. Do you remember the shadowy figure who Enchantress was talking to with Zemo? And you were
is that Loki?
Is it Loki?
I think it could be.
I think it could be.
Okay. All right, fair enough.
I just want to know where you're at in terms of
I think the only thing that ties Loki to this plot is Enchantress. She's the thread.
So I want you to just consider how you, at the beginning, if you remember, we lamented the fact that Loki wasn't really involved with putting the Avengers together.
And now we're coming full circle to that.
But now he's kind of the one who's
final boss.
Yeah, he's kind of the one moving all the chess pieces.
Yeah.
And maybe he's more involved than we thought.
Could be. I think it's definitely interesting. I like where it's all going. I like how action-packed this was. I'm hoping for a little bit more character development next episode.
What are you looking for?
It's a little bit slower.
What are you looking for with character? Yeah. Because a lot of they're all in the wind. They're all separate.
We've gotten so little Loki, and now he's being featured. I think a prediction.
Thor Loki interactions.
Yeah, I want to see that backstory maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe give me a little bit of Thor Loki. It doesn't have to be a lot, but
because it's been 20. What episode is this?
24.
So he showed up in episode 2, and that's been it.
22 episodes later.
It's been 22 episodes with very little to no Loki. Like Loki was maybe the shadowy figure in episode. What the Masters of Evil episode?
Yeah,
right?
that's
the end of that one.
That's a
so that's been how long ago? So I think that was like episode 12 or 13 or something. Like we've gone through a dozen episodes with not even a hint of who might have been Loki. So we've had almost no Loki, and now we have this. And we talked about. Well, I'm not going to get ahead of myself. Let's just see. One other thing that I love about how we're digesting this finale,
right?
Behind the curtain stuff for our listeners. Normally, we record 2 or 3 episodes at a time.
Yeah.
We are now so far ahead in our recording that we are comfortable doing 1 episode at a time, which means that the cliffhangers are genuine cliffhangers for us when we're talking about it, because we don't know what happens next. Sometimes we'll record a 2-parter and like we'll know what happens in the next episode.
Mm-hmm.
We have not seen episode 25 and 26 yet.
It's true. I'm completely blind.
You're going in blind.
What's going in? Yeah.
So I love that because you've never seen the show and I've seen the show. So now we're both coming at a place where we started, which is I know and you don't. And I think that's great because you're figuring it out, and I'm trying not to give it away. So,
I think maybe there's potential for Bucky too.
Oh, because he's still in play.
Bucky's still
because the Cosmic Cube episode had that
field.
Cliffhanger.
So
yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. We got some comics we're going to talk about next.
Yeah.
When we come back.
Let's do it. Comics.
Comics time. Welcome back to Issues with Cartoons. We are now in our comic book segment, and we'll be talking about Acts of Vengeance, a huge, very, very big Avengers crossover.
Enormous crossover, and I want to talk about this first. So, when I was brainstorming like what story arcs tied into this episode, I was like, oh, okay, Acts of Vengeance, perfect, let's do Acts of Vengeance.
Lots of villains.
Lots of villains fighting different heroes, like the whole premise. I remember that trading card about Acts of Vengeance. Do you remember that, Carl? So I was thinking about Acts of Vengeance. Okay, let's read Acts of Vengeance. I pull up the reading list. Carl. It is long. Unwieldy. It's incredibly long. And not all of it is relevant, particularly to this conversation. I'm not even fully confident the books I picked from the list are fully relevant to this conversation. But fine. I tried to find... so we're talking about it, the first chunk. So this is a 3-part episode, so we're doing the first third of the crossovers.
And then we'll be covering the rest of Acts of Vengeance as we cover this finale.
As we go through the finale. So the issues from Acts of Vengeance we are covering are not comprehensive of the event.
Right.
Because of that, there are going to be a lot of plot holes that we are not going to be able to fill. A lot of events that maybe we don't even know happen. A lot of fights that we are not going to get to read.
Spidey fights the Hulk.
Right.
The famous Todd McFarlane issue is part of Acts of Vengeance.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And we are, I think, going to cover one Spider-Man issue, but only because it's like an epilogue to the whole thing. So I'm going to just say up front, there are parts to this that we are not going to cover. And I tried to, because I don't have time to read 40 issues.
I do.
Carl does, but I have a family who wants to see me and spend time with me and engage with me and talk to me and let me make eye contact with them. So I can't read 40 issues. But we did try to pick some of the ones that were most relevant to the plot as far as I could tell in my research. So the ones that we are covering today are Avengers Spotlight issue 26, Avengers 311, Captain America 365, and Avengers West Coast 53. Again, just kind of as an initial chunk. And this is cool in that we do kind of get like a little sample of what the books were up to in 1989 when this was published.
Right, that's the year. Oh, well, actually, I don't want to date myself.
I will. I was born in 1989. So this storyline's as old as I am. Carl, I don't like ranting against a book that we're covering because I feel like that's not in good taste. But we have done it a few times. I'm not going to rant.
Avengers 396.
Yeah, 394 or whatever it was.
Sorry, Mike Diodato. We love you, but
yeah. What I want to talk about, though, is maybe not necessarily against any particular book, but against this particular crossover and how it was organized. Because I have kind of an issue with line-wide crossovers like this.
An issue, you say?
Issues with comics this time. So my big complaint, and I think it's evident in this read-through, is that when you cross over 40 different titles for one storyline, inevitably, unless you read every single thing, you're going to get lost or read things out of order or miss important information, or you're not going to get the full scope of the story, or you have to give up your entire life and read 40 issues.
Or they never made sense in the first place.
Oh, plot twist, and that could very well be. And this is the other thing I wanted to talk about with you, Carl, because we have spoken, and many people will say a lot of things about Jim Shooter, and we have.
Yeah, we've discussed him.
I feel like if Jim Shooter was at the helm of Acts of Vengeance, I would have known everyone's name. I would have known what issues I had to read before the issue I just read. I would know exactly what the setup is. I would know exactly all the pieces of information in a given comic that I didn't have would be in the comic I'm reading. And I feel like that was missing from much of what we read today.
So our thesis statement is...
Jim Shooter was right.
Jim Shooter was right, and every Marvel comic is your first Marvel comic is tossed out the window with this crossover, because it's like you can't really read any of these, and this might be my biggest criticism, is you can't read any of these individually as their own issue,
right?
Because they tie in with everything else.
Because not only are they tying into the issues of their own book, like whatever happened in issue 310 of Avengers is relevant, or whatever happened in issue 52 of Avengers West Coast is very relevant. But not only are you having to contend with that continuity and find your footing in what's happening in the storyline from that standpoint, but then to overlay on top of that the plot of the issue, and on top of that the overarching mega plot of Acts of Vengeance, is a lot to juggle for one book, and you need a lot of hand-holding if you're expecting readers to jump from X-Factor to Quasar to Daredevil to Spider-Man to Avengers West Coast, to go all over the line for this event. And the conceit of the event is a very good conceit. It's very similar to the episode we watched, which is why we picked it. It's somebody is manipulating supervillains to take on superheroes that they normally wouldn't fight, to throw those superheroes off their game. So you have, the Mandarin fighting, I forget who they pair the Mandarin against, but just odd pairings, right? So Magneto versus Captain America, or you mentioned Hulk and Spider-Man. So I guess my point is, the idea is a very good one, and the skeleton is a very good skeleton for a compelling crossover. I get the impetus to do it. As we go through this, if we sound like we're confused or trying to find our footing ourselves, it's because we very much are.
Yeah.
And comics are still guilty of this. I think what would be different if this were published now is that these crossovers would still happen while a 6-issue prestige series is also coming out that tells you the main plot.
Yeah, this needed to be contained a little bit more. It needed a little bit more structure. And I think of crossovers I read that I think were successful, that did what this is trying to do better. Yeah. It was like Avengers versus X-Men.
Sure.
And it had like the cool little spin-off it was like Avengers, X-Men versus, and it was just one-off fights.
Yeah,
yeah, and the first issue I think was like Iron Man versus Magneto, and it was just great. It was just a fun read. It's like a full issue of the fight, and then we jump to the main conflict was the Avengers were trying to get the Hope for the Phoenix Force, and the Avengers were like, no, Hope's ours, and so they're fighting over the Phoenix, which is a great plot device to make that all work.
It is a good plot device. Was the Magneto Iron Man fight 3 panels? I don't imagine. Was he like wearing like non-magnetic armor?
No,
like plastic.
I hope
armor?
I have that right, but yeah, it was just a regular 22-page comics, and I think they had Magic fight somebody too. I could be wrong.
It's interesting though, like, because you're right. That is kind of a good way to do it, and it would have been perfect for this premise. Like, you have like the main, like with the mysterious figure manipulating things, like that would have been your main plot.
Yeah.
While the Avengers are trying to figure out what's happening, and then you might have like just fight issues kind of in spin-off titles.
That's what I'm getting at. Like kind of an anchor. It needs like an anchor to kind of like.
That's
bring
a great way to phrase it. An anchor book. And this doesn't have that.
Yeah,
there's no acts of vengeance, like, and I'm not even necessarily advocating for that, because I think that has its own problems. But this came out right after Atlantis Attacks or Atlantis Rising or whatever that crossover was that took place in the annuals. Because what happened in the 80s and 90s was their crossovers all took place over the annuals of the book. So instead of having to buy 3 issues of a book you didn't read, like if I was reading Avengers West Coast and I had to go and track down X-Men, I would just buy the X-Men annual and I would get what I needed from that. And instead, what they did was basically 3 issues out of the year for these titles they all got that Acts of Vengeance banner on it.
I think this is a problem with 90s comics in general. Too many crossovers. I mean, like, I remember being a kid and some of, like, I talk about, like, the 50-cent room in my local comic book store was just full of these crossover issues. You know, I'd get, like, Maximum Carnage Part 3, and then Young Me's just, like, where's Part 12? Where's Part 11? Right. And it was like that with everything I read.
Yeah.
And
it's a chore.
It just, that doesn't exist now. Like, they are a little bit better about, like, containing the crossovers, but I still think the crossovers happen too often, and they should be reserved for a special event, right? Or like a prestige series or something. It shouldn't be in the main book.
Yeah, and you know, I hate railing against a book before we even talk about it, but I'm not railing against any of these particular books. I think what I'm railing against is the editorial approach to crossovers and how they're used in titles across a line. Because what made
over storytelling,
right? And I think what made this difficult to pick the issues was I was doing all kinds of research trying to figure out which ones to read, and I kept coming across things that were like, well, it has the banner, but there's maybe a panel that's relevant, or it has the banner and it has nothing to do with the story. It just has it because they're like trying to sell Daredevil that week. Daredevil's a bad example because that one had Ultron in it, which is an unexpected matchup. But you know what I mean? Like, it would have, you know, like a page of relevant to the crossover within the title. So you wouldn't even know which one is going to tie into the Acts of Vengeance book, even if it had the Acts of Vengeance tie-in logo. And then I would read things like the main reveal happens in a random page of X Factor, which none of the other issues are relevant, but that one page reveals who the mysterious figure is.
Let's just look back on fondly.
I don't know.
Like, the overall opinion of this? Yeah, I'm not sure.
This is the first time I've ever read it. Again, I think because it's too unwieldy. I don't hear it talked about all that often.
That's what I mean. I don't think I've ever brought up.
I mean, we'll get into it maybe after we reveal who the mysterious figure is, unless you figured out who it is. I won't spoil it here, but there are some things that are interesting about it. I'm thinking as we read more, we'll like it more.
Yeah.
But like right now, when it's all kind of like set up, and it's set up across 40 different books, I think it's it's tough to find your footing right now on what this is, because this starts in Avengers Spotlight, which is an anthology, an Avengers anthology from the 80s that basically had two different stories, an A and a B story, and it would feature different Avengers.
There's some big names on this. You have Dwayne McDuffie's the writer.
Yep.
You got editors Mark Greenwald. You got editor-in-chief Tom DeFalco. All familiar names.
Yeah, lettered by Richard Starkins, which is cool. So,
yeah,
good talent.
We've talked about a lot of these creators, too.
And the plot to this is very relevant to Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes because it's a breakout. And the whole plot is this mysterious figure pops into the vault, into the wizard's cell in the vault, and stages a breakout. So, and that's and again, we'll talk about this as the show and the storyline of Acts of Vengeance develops. But I think my thesis for this storyline being relevant to the cartoon is that maybe the whole premise of the show has secretly been an Acts of Vengeance adaptation. Because it starts with a breakout, which is the impetus, and it ends with supervillains mismatching against superheroes to create conflict. So yeah, the premise, like I said, this mysterious figure pops up inside the vault. We get a little tour inside the vault, and we get to see characters like Griffin, Angar, I think that's the Armadillo. So we get to see like some cool supervillain cameos.
They love featuring these vault security guards in the 90s.
The
like I remember them,
yeah,
popping up in like Lethal Foes of Spider-Man 2. I mean, like they just like pop up over and over.
Yeah, they're good, like kind of like pawns or whatever, just kind of red shirts for supervillains to beat up. And this takes place right after the Armor Wars storyline, so they are now using Stain technology instead of Stark technology, so it's like subpar technology. Like, that's very interesting. And so this breakout happens, and you get like Electro shows up, Mr. Hyde, the Scarecrow.
Oh yeah, that panel.
Like, yeah, it's a great shot. And ultimately, Iron Man and Hawkeye both appear to stop the breakout.
They're the only two Avengers.
The only two Avengers who show up.
Yeah.
So it's interesting reading this after having read Breakout, the new Avengers plotline, because there's a power outage that kind of lets everyone loose. It's very similar to that storyline and to the two-parter at the beginning of the cartoon.
I would argue that a jailbreak's almost a trope in comics at this point.
Oh, for sure.
It just happens over and over. You know, like Batman and his villains in Arkham Asylum, they always break loose over and over and over. It's like we've seen this story before.
You're right.
Yeah, man.
And I guess where this might be a little different is that this is kind of like a launch point for a whole event that we're about to read, like a whole crossover.
Yeah, this is how the villains get loose. You got Whirlwind for 2 panels.
We do get a little Whirlwind. We even get some Molten Man in there.
Hydro Man.
Hydro Man, yeah.
Titania.
Yeah, we get all the Frightful Four. So you are we've been kind of covering the show as you're doing your read through of the Stan Lee Jack Kirby run, and you just recently read the Frightful Four debut. So
I did.
Was it interesting for you reading the Frightful Four debut and then reading the Wizard and his new Frightful Four in this?
It was. It gave me context for the Wizard. I mean, like, otherwise I would have read this and been like, I would maybe have agreed with the security guards that call him a small timer, which I don't think he is a small timer. You know, I think the character is pivotal in that he brings the Frightful Four together.
Right, yeah.
And it's something notable about the Frightful Four is that's your first appearance of like Medusa.
Yeah.
You know, you get
very
Medusa.
Significant book. Yeah. Very
important. It's cool to see Stan Lee and Jack Kirby reaching so far too, because Sandman's also included.
I love the Sandman.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it's fun. Anyway, we're not here to talk about the Frightful Four though.
We could though. Paste Pop Pete. So yeah, what struck me about this is, so this takes place right after Armor Wars, right? So no one's really trusting Iron Man, including Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Like, Hawkeye sees Iron Man and starts attacking him, because I guess during Armor Wars there was another vault incident that involved Tony Stark. So they get into a bit of a fight.
Yeah,
Iron Man has his repulsor against Hawkeye's face, which just seemed
blow his head off.
Yeah, seemed really intense.
I thought, to remember this is the 90s though, so violence. You know, Iron Man is gonna blow Hawkeye's
this is
head
a post Watchmen world. It's a post Dark Knight Returns world. They're all about intensity here.
This is this Iron Man. The way they draw Iron Man is a lot like Marvel vs. Capcom. This is like basically how he.
What year did that come out?
In Marvel, it's early 90s.
So right before this, or right after this.
After this,
right
for
after
sure.
This.
After this, I want to say 96.
Yeah, that sounds.
If I had to
close.
take a guess, 95 or 90.
I was going to guess 94, 95.
Yeah, maybe the arcade machines were there before the New Age of Heroes. You know, before it came to consoles. Anyway.
So not much more to say other than like it ends on kind of a cliffhanger, but the main tie-in to Acts of Vengeance is the mysterious stranger appears to let everyone out, and all the villains get loose. So
the villains are free.
Unless you have more to say about Spotlight, let's go ahead and shift over to Avengers.
Really don't.
All right, so Avengers issue 311. The cover copy reads Hydro Base destroyed, which you're like, what's the Hydro Base? The Hydro Base was the new headquarters of the Avengers at the time. They called it Avengers Island. And so the big deal here is that
they give away the whole story on the cover. They literally reveal.
They actually give you more of the story on the cover than they do in the actual book, because on the cover you have Namor, Cersei, She-Hulk, Captain America, Quasar, Thor. The only Avenger who's involved in the fight is Quasar and the Avengers support staff, which was like relevant at the time. So you get Peggy Carter and you get like O'Brien and Stankiewicz and Undaka and like all these characters who casual fans who have no idea who they are. But Jarvis is there.
It's a great day in the life of Quasar, though. If you ever wanted to know what it was like to be Quasar, wake up and brush your teeth, put your cape on, go flying through NYC. This is the comic for you. If you ever wanted to know what Quasar's up to.
Quasar is the most vanilla superhero. I mean,
he is like Big Lots Superman. I mean, it's like he is awful.
Well, you know what he is? He's kind of Big Lots Captain Marvel, honestly. Like he's and apparently I just read a biography thread about Mark Grunwald, and Mark Grunwald had a very celebrated run on Quasar, and apparently it's very good. I've never read it, but apparently it is a whole lot of cosmic shenanigans that is pretty important.
So you think that run maybe
gives Quasar some clout.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily seen here.
He's got no clout with me.
Yeah, you're very reluctant to give anyone clout.
Yancey Street Gang is more clout than Quasar.
He wouldn't make it. The Yancey Street Gang would wipe the floor with Quasar.
They would.
I do want to talk about kind of the big relevant scene, which starts on page 5 of your digital reader, which is where the mysterious stranger is watching the events of Quasar arriving at Hydro Base. And you see him walking across the hall, and he walks into this room, and Dr. Doom is there, and the Mandarin is there.
It's brooding.
They're all in silhouette, which is kind of an interesting choice, because you know who these characters are. It's not like they're a mystery.
I feel like the artists just didn't feel like drawing them.
I guess so. Who's the artist, Carl? We didn't even talk about this one. This is written by John Byrne, drawn by Paul Ryan and Tom Palmer.
John Byrne had 6 comics to draw that day. No, it's just John Byrne wrote it.
Yeah, he just wrote it. So John Byrne,
Palmer, Paul Ryan.
This is the era when John Byrne was writing both Avengers and Avengers West Coast. He was running both titles. Paul Ryan, I'm familiar with Paul Ryan because of Squadron Supreme. Again, Mark Grunwald.
So is it like John Byrne wrote Avengers and then jumped to Superman?
Yes. Yeah, he did Fantastic Four in the 2 Avengers books. I think at the same time, or maybe he left Fantastic Four to do Avengers. Maybe that's what it was.
Speaking of clout, I mean, like John Byrne got a TV interview when he went to do that Man of Steel interview.
This is our first John Byrne book, I think. I don't think we've ever covered a John Byrne book on the podcast.
So. Yeah,
very important creator. X-Men artist who helped redefine that title. Dark Phoenix Saga was kind of the biggest book
Let's just say
of the era.
He is whether you like him or not.
Yeah,
he's
or not.
one of the most prolific Marvel artists of all time.
Yeah, and very important to DC. You mentioned Man of Steel,
DC
Superman.
Too. What am I saying? Just Marvel.
Changed Superman for better or worse for a generation.
Changed superhero comics forever.
For a long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Had the next biggest run on Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
I think if you ask most people, top 3 runs of Fantastic Four, John Byrne has to be one of the next names you say after Stanley Jack Kirby.
It is like that. It's like even on the forums, it's like that. It's like what Fantastic. It's
especially
like
on John Byrne's forums.
Yeah, it's
he'll make sure that you say it.
It's like Hickman, John Byrne, Stan Lee, Jack
Wade
Kirby.
Ringo. Like it's like those are kind of the 4 that you have to kind of.
Although Mark Waid deserves a honorable mention, right?
Oh no, I'd say Mark Waid, Mike Ringo, Jonathan Hickman, Dale Eagle Shem, John Byrne, Stan Lee, and Jack Kirby. Those 4 runs are the 4 Fantastic Four runs you have to talk about. The other ones you can talk about, but like those are the 4.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but like Mark Waid was Fantastic Four 500.
Yeah.
Right? And they had the whole thing where like Reed fought Doctor Doom in hell and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that came out when I was
Jack
like
Kirby was Jack Kirby was God.
Yeah, I loved that.
There was the whole thing.
As a kid.
There was a whole thing where they took Mark Waid and Ringo off the book, and fans demanded they get put back, so they did put him back. Mm-hmm. I mean, super, and that came out as we were coming up.
That's what I mean. That was popular book.
Back to John Byrne. I mean, John Byrne had a famous run on She-Hulk. That was very influential for the Disney Plus show.
It was the TV show.
John Byrne did a lot with the New Gods.
Yeah.
He did Alpha Flight. He did I mean name a run. He did some Captain America.
There's big fans of his Alpha Flight out there too.
Oh, sure.
And that famous issue where they're in the snowstorm.
Oh, I didn't know this. I don't know about this.
Okay,
So he doesn't have to draw backgrounds.
Yeah. So Alpha Flight gets caught. It's a famous issue because it's like Alpha Flight gets caught in a snowstorm, and all the panels are white, and there's no characters, and it's only captions and word balloons for almost a whole issue. But the excuse is they're in a snowstorm. Deadlines, man. Deadlines. It's impossible to make monthly comics. It's impossible.
I'm just shaking my head right now. Let's talk about this issue. Okay. So Quasar.
Let's get back to it. Okay, so they don't want to draw Dr. Doom.
They don't want to draw Dr. Doom, and because they probably just read that Alpha Flight comic, so they're like, well, this is the best, closest I can get to that. So the conceit of this is that Dr. Doom sends a bunch of robots to attack Avengers Mansion.
They're fun. They're like little sentinels. The way they're deployed, they're little drones that come in. They mess the place up, you know.
So Quasar and the Avengers support staff are fighting off these Doombots, and it's pretty much just a big fight for most of it. But
I like how the Avengers support staff aren't super powered, and there's one that's like slightly overweight.
Yeah,
he's like, oh, gotta step in.
So
gotta step in with my gut.
Frank Stankiewicz is like a Z-list supervillain who reforms and becomes like the tech guy on the Avengers staff, and he actually shows up a lot in Mark Grunwald's Cap run. But he was the I'm going to get the name wrong. It was like the Mech Marauder or the Mechanic Marauder, some kind of like armored supervillain. So he puts on his armor, and he helps the Avengers staff fight these Doombots. It's actually really cool.
All right, Kyle, for your no prize, are these robots made out of adamantium or vibranium? What are these robots made out of? I gotta know.
I mean, for me, they kind of look like they're made out of tinfoil because they go down pretty easily.
They do. They get taken out like some stormtroopers. They do. They just get mowed down.
I'll tell you what was fun. It was fun reading pre-MCU Peggy Carter. I liked that.
Sure.
As a Cap fan, I enjoyed that. It was cool seeing, because I had forgotten she was on the Avengers staff, and she was like a pretty significant crew member. And she's like in there, like in the thick of it, mowing people down, like mowing down these robots.
Go, Peggy.
But again, like going back to this thing where we talked about how like you have to get like the lay of the land for what's happening in the crossover. what's happening in the plot of the issue, and then what's happening in the context of the storyline that the book was already telling.
It makes it foggy.
Because
it's just a foggy read.
Yeah,
it's like incomprehensible.
It randomly cuts to space, and then there's like a few pages of Star Fox sneaking up on Nebula, and whatever's going on with Nebula.
It's the Guardians of the Galaxy, man.
Right. But
cue the rock song right here.
Yeah, exactly.
This is like Moon Age Daydreams playing right now. No, not really. Nothing happens. It's just like a quick dialogue exchange. It's almost like they needed to fill up pages of the book.
That's what it felt like.
And they were just like, you know what? Let's just cut the space real quick. Maybe Tom Palmer didn't draw this, and the other artist did.
Maybe, like, and you know, John Byrne could be doing his best Chris Claremont impression, where he's like, okay, cut away randomly to the subplot that I've been doing. The Shia.
Let's go to the Shia Empire and see what they're up to.
Ultimately, what happens, the thing that kind of ties this into the other books that we're going to read, is that Hydro Base sinks.
Yeah,
at the end.
And there's a fat Boba Fett.
Yeah, no, that's the Mechanic Marauder. That's Stankiewicz.
It's basically Boba Fett.
It's basically Boba Fett. Boba Fett. So Quasar can't keep the Hydro Base from sinking. So he's the protector of the universe, but he can't protect Hydro Base. So Hydro Base sinks.
It's destroyed.
And that's kind of where we leave that issue. So unless you have anything else to say about that, I want to jump now to Captain America.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, I don't know which was more unremarkable, this or Avengers Spotlight.
I mean,
they're both very mediocre.
The important
6 out of 10 comic books, like they're just like
fine.
Yeah, 6 out of 10. Not the worst thing I've ever read.
No, it's serviceable.
Good. Yeah.
And again, the big takeaway is you see the Mandarin and Dr. Doom talk to the mysterious stranger, and you see Hydro Base sink, which is kind of like the main thing that ties into the next couple issues.
Avengers here. I love this corner box on this.
Actually. Oh, with Diamondback. I love Diamondback. Yeah. I've loved this cover. I've seen this cover before. I think it's a very visceral cover where Namor is punching Captain America in the face underwater.
It stands out to me from other Marvel Comics covers just because, like, it's just opaque colors.
Yeah.
And the line work is very minimal. It's almost like closer to manga than an American comic.
And I'll say, just so that this isn't all us shitting on comics, this is my favorite book that we read. But again, it's Captain America. It's Mark Gruenwald, Captain America. Is it Kieran Dwyer?
Like it.
Of course I would like it. But like, really good cover. I love the corner box with the simple color, black and red cover with Diamondback with the little broken heart over her head.
Am I the Lex Luthor of this show? Am I the one that's always just dunking on everything?
I feel bad because like I'm kind of dunking on it with you, but I mean, I do, yeah.
I like to think of myself as the hero and the voice of reason.
Yeah, so
show.
you're the yeah, you are, yeah, you're the cool-headed one. You're the one who thinks of things very pragmatically.
Acts of vengeance.
Acts of vengeance. So Submariner goes wild. I love that.
Yeah, it's a fun cover.
So you open the page and it's a boom splash of the Red Skull with a very long-handled cigarette.
He's smoking.
So what I love. So this, just to place you in time, this takes place right after the Bloodstone hunt in the Mark Gruenwald Captain America run, which is a great globetrotting, again, I talk about globetrotting, great globetrotting adventure book in the Captain America run with Mark Gruenwald. It's a lot of fun.
You got some big Cap heavy hitters here. You got
Crossbones.
Crossbones.
One of the biggest Crossbones two-parters with Diamondback. So Diamondback is a member of the Serpent Society, which we talked about last episode. And she breaks away from the Serpent Society to go run around with Cap. And Diamondback has a history with Crossbones. Like they knew each other in childhood. He was like her tormentor. Like he was not nice to Diamondback. The issues before this were coming off of the Bloodstone hunt, which was followed by the two-parter where Crossbones basically kidnaps Diamondback, and there's a big Crossbones story arc happening. So this is off the heels of that. So we have Crossbones and the Red Skull.
I read this just as a lot of like my impression, just coming into this, not knowing all this lore that you know.
Right, yeah.
It's just like, I'm like, Red Skull's just scheming. He's just being his best Ernest Starvo Blofeld. He's sitting behind a desk. He's making Crossbones comes in. He has a word with Crossbones. The other villain is planning some stuff. You know, it's
it is peak Red Skull. Like, it's very 1980s Red Skull. And that face is...
He's almost like a business tycoon, isn't he?
He is.
He's almost like Lex Luthor's John Byrne.
It really is. It's John Byrne's Lex Luthor. Yeah, it's honestly, there's a lot of comparisons that you can make between the two. And this...
Interesting.
Yeah, and this would have come after that, because it was 1989. Oh, you know what? I need to correct myself. We got the timeline wrong. We said that John Byrne left Avengers to go do Superman. No. He left Superman to come back to do Avengers.
Oh yeah, that makes this would have been
because 1985 was or 1986 was Man of Steel.
That makes.
Then he does a run, and then he comes back. So I apologize. So get off your keyboards, everyone. We figured it out. We were wrong.
Stop writing your Ain't It Cool news article.
Yeah.
It's 2025. Okay, we
get out of
about this.
Get out of my comments. So anyway,
stop talking about episode 1. It's been 20 years.
What are you talking about right now?
A lot of things.
The mysterious stranger shows up in Red Skull's office. So we, again, tying into the Acts of Vengeance here. And he's basically making his pitch to the Red Skull, like, you should
take my
work
offer.
with me.
Yeah,
I have a strategy for all of us to work together. Take my offer. And the Red Skull says, bah, what nonsense.
Yeah,
and
it's just like,
this mysterious stranger is pretty much taking out whatever Red Skull throws at him. Like, he's not able to touch him. And it's frustrating the Red Skull very much. But the rest of the plot is basically...
Cap with Diamond riding around on hover bikes.
It's great. It's great. I love Diamondback. She's great. Because she wants Cap's approval so much. And he's just not sure he can trust her.
Training a young Avenger. Yeah, she's trying.
But this is where we get the tie-in to Avengers. Because Cap finds out that Hydro Base is sunk. And so he's going to go investigate.
Yeah, we get a little bit of flashback. Jarvis filling us in.
Yeah.
And Cap's like, sunk? Look at that extreme close-up. Wally would be proud.
Look at that. Well, and to your point, we get another Wallywood panel a couple pages later with a great silhouette where the mysterious stranger is now trying to recruit Namor. And when that doesn't work, Crossbones catches the Controller, who I think the Controller might have escaped from the vault. Am I remembering that right?
Or do you mean Namor?
Namor. Am I allowed to say it that way?
Namor? I don't know if I am.
Yeah, I don't think we are. So Crossbones captures Controller, and Controller and Crossbones and Red Skull pretty much make Controller take over Namor, like mind control Namor. So
like Manchurian Candidate.
Basically, like he puts a little node on the back of Namor's neck, and Namor is going to raise hell. So while Namor is investigating Hydro Base, again tying into that Avengers issue, Scuba Gear Controller is there waiting for him. He even gives a monologue in his head, like in thought balloons, but takes his breather out to give the monologue in his head. It was a very funny panel.
I do the same thing when I'm thinking underwater.
Yeah, you take out your respirator.
Yeah,
so you
finish my evil speech.
Give out loud the thoughts in your head.
Yeah.
So Cap is also going to investigate Hydro Base because he wants to figure out what happened. So while he's flying over with his hoverboard, Namor flies out and punches him, and they have this underwater fight.
We get our fight that's promised to us on the cover. We get Cap versus Namor, which I like this fight.
It's a good fight. It's a great fight. Fun. Kieran Dwyer is the artist. I should have probably mentioned. Although I don't think they give him credit.
It's very dynamic.
It's a great dynamic
The
fight.
figures are drawn well.
We've talked about Kieran Dwyer on the show before in the Kang Dynasty crossover, which was done a decade later, 15 years later. So very accomplished cartoonist. But yeah, I mean, Namor, so Cap knows that one punch from Namor underwater would explode his skull. Like he would absolutely be putty if Namor touched him. So a lot of it is Cap trying to get his shield up in time. And he notices the mind control pretty quickly. He notices the node on it, but during this fight we are also cutting back to that room with the mysterious stranger and all of these supervillains.
I like this transition because, like, I don't feel like if you look at this page on its own, the Washington, D.C. page with Red Skull, like, I don't think that works great as an establishing shot, but because the page before is an extreme close-up of Cap's eyes, and then the next page is, like, mirroring that with Red Skull.
It is a good transition.
That transition works, but I feel like if this page were just on its own and we just started with a close-up of Red Skull's eyes, I would call that lazy. I'd be like, why aren't you establishing the scene first? But
it's a transition shot.
It is a really interesting. Yeah, you don't see it a lot in comics.
Can I give you a little bit of? Can I give you a little lore to enrich that transition for you?
All right, go for it.
So
you have the floor.
In issue 350 of Captain America, you find out that the Red Skull, who had been dead up to this point, has returned, and he returned in a cloned body of Steve Rogers. So Red Skull's mind and a clone of Steve Rogers' body, right?
So this is tying in with that?
No, but wait for this. So the Red Skull at this point kind of has his own Joker gas, which is gas that turns your face into a skull. Obviously what happens is that gas gets into Red Skull's face and it turns his face into a skull. We had a lot of conversations about how Red Skull wears a mask over his face and that the Red Skull is actually a mask. At this point, he is now a Red Skull. Like, his face is that. It's Steve Rogers' face mutated into a Red Skull. So this transition, the reason I bring this up, the transition from Steve Rogers' eyes to Red Skull's eyes, those are actually, theoretically, the same eyes. Because they're a clone, but it's just been... Anyway, that's not relevant to anything.
Blue eyes.
Oh, I love that song.
No one knows what it's
like. Who sang that?
The Who.
Who? Anyway. So now at this point, the Red Skull, the Wizard who... let's look at this table. The Wizard, Doctor Doom, the Kingpin, the Red Skull, I think Mandarin's probably in there. Who doesn't belong at that table?
Wilson Fisk just smoking cigars. Doctor Doom looks uncomfortable.
He never looks happy.
He shouldn't be uncomfortable in that room.
Yeah.
He's with this kid.
Yeah. He's he's the baddest boy in that room.
That's what I mean. I feel like that characterization isn't right. God, do better, Marvel.
Come on. Kieran. No, he looks like... No, actually, it's a perfectly in character. You know why? It looks like his time is being wasted. And he's mad about it. There's also a backup story in here about
the Serpent
King
Society,
Cobra tying into the Serpent Society and tying into Acts of Vengeance because the mysterious stranger is trying to recruit King Cobra.
If you ever wanted we got the day in the life of Quasar. Acts of Vengeance now brings us a day in the life of the Serpent Society. If you ever wanted to wonder these things, like, what is it like to be Quasar? Wake up every morning, brush your teeth, and put your cape on. You get that. What is it like to wake up in the morning, put on your snake mask, and go talk with your other snake masks buddies about world domination?
The scenes of the King Cobra sneaking into this chimney is very off-putting. It's very it's unsettling.
That was my favorite panel.
It was very
this
great.
whole thing.
It was great.
He's just like, let me dive down this chimney real quick.
But again, we saw the Serpent Society a couple of episodes ago on the Avengers cartoon, and now we're seeing them all here. You got Anaconda, you got Bushwhacker, you got Black Mamba, you got Copperhead. So you see all these characters, and it is cool seeing our, I don't think Sidewinder. Yeah, Sidewinder's gone. But basically, it's setting up a conflict between King Cobra and Mr. Hyde, if you care about that sort of thing. Which does tie in, because Mr. Hyde broke out in the vault breakout.
It does tie in with that. It does wrap around to that. Yeah.
Anyway, unless you have more to say about Captain America, let's wrap things up with a conversation about Avengers West Coast issue 53, written and drawn by John Byrne.
The most notable thing is the Namor Cap fight.
Yeah.
How it's saying that whole thing.
And then maybe some of the Red Skull being actually... keep an eye on Red Skull being recruited, because I think you are going to be the reason. There's a reason I picked the Captain America books for us to cover, because I think you're going to like the conflict that is set up by Red Skull being recruited.
So we haven't seen the last
of Red Skull. No, but I love how you said that. I really do think you'll like it. I'm kind of setting you up because in a couple episodes we're going to talk about a conflict.
We're going to keep going with this. I might even read more of Acts of Vengeance. I have time.
You have time.
I have time.
I don't have time. John Byrne writing and drawing this issue, and we open with the mysterious stranger talking to Magneto.
That's right, Eric Lyncher in the flesh.
So Magnus is being spoken to, written and drawn by John Byrne, which I don't know how many...
Finally, I've been waiting for this moment on this podcast.
Yeah, you get to talk about John Byrne drawing Magneto. Talk about Magneto. The plan proceeds.
I don't know, it's just like supervillain speech, but I do like there's a little bit of his thought bubbles here. He refers to Magneto as a mutant. I just had to work with this dirty mutant a little bit longer. There's that classic bigotry theme that's prevalent in all the X-Men books is kind of here.
So we don't know who this mysterious stranger is, but one thing that's not mysterious is he is racist AF. So,
yeah, he is. And Magneto's has some good dialogue here. I like his... He's like, when you first approached me with the seed of your idea, I saw not so much a chance to crush the costume cretins who call themselves superheroes, but chance for the ultimate betterment of my own mutant kind.
Carl, who wrote Magneto better, John Byrne or Chris Claremont? Because I think it matters to John Byrne what you say. John Byrne wanted to be Chris Claremont so bad.
You think so?
I do.
Is that your thesis? Yeah.
Kinda.
You think so?
Yeah. I think he...
wanted to one-up him.
He wanted to one-up him.
Maybe. Yeah. Claremont's the better writer.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
If I had to...
But I bet John Byrne's a better artist.
Orange and apples. Yeah, of course.
It is apples and oranges.
Yeah,
their writing styles are not the same.
Yeah, they're
I was being facetious when I said that.
They're very different. Yeah.
No, don't come at me, John. You're fine. I was not. You don't want to be Chris Claremont. You want to be John.
On his blog, man. Don't do it.
Yeah, maybe. You know what though? Good press. That's how you get exposure.
2025, baby.
Follow and like and subscribe, please. So
click that like button.
Yeah. So rate and review. So, John Byrne's Magneto gives this big monologue.
It's fine. It's how Magneto should talk.
Yeah.
It is. It's his
honestly,
voice.
Magneto's got a very distinct voice. Again, because Claremont wrote him for 17 years. But he is a very defined character. We talked about that with Daredevil, and we talked about that with a few other Marvel characters, like Doctor Doom, Magneto, Ben Grimm, Matt Murdock. They all have very... you can tell when they're not written well. Because
their voice.
They do have a defined voice.
Yeah, people complain that how much Magneto and Wolverine are featured in the X-Men films.
Because they're some of the most defined X-Men.
I was about to say, they're the most developed. Of course they're in the film where they had more source material to pull from to make these characters. Anyway,
I would say Scott Summers and Jean Grey would also be, but they were not as well defined in those movies.
And their problem is their family tree.
That's true.
They're bogged down.
That's
by
very
that
true.
Almost.
That's very true.
Anyway,
it's actually very impressive that you can have a family tree more complicated than Wolverine's origin.
Origins.
I know.
Multiple.
He had such a convoluted origin that they've done it 5 different times, and it's always different. Anyway,
the only one they really need is the Weapon X one. You don't need.
That's true.
Origins. You don't need.
You remember they had
maybe
Wolverine,
some of the World War II stuff.
You remember they had Wolverine Origins by Paul Jenkins, and then they had an ongoing Wolverine Origins book.
Yes.
Can you believe they did an ongoing Wolverine Origins? And then they had an Origins 2. They had a sequel.
I know. It reminds me of when they did Sins Past, and they kept just bringing back Gabriel.
They had what?
Their clone.
They had what?
Sins Past.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Amazing Spider-Man.
That doesn't exist.
Okay.
I've never read that run, and that's why. I'll never read it.
But yeah, I do remember the double Origins book. Just leave it alone. Leave it alone.
Okay. Magneto. Back to this. So Loki, or not Loki, Magneto is giving a speech, and then the mysterious stranger has his own speech in his head, because we love a monologue.
Crossover.
John Byrne likes his monologues.
He does.
But he's doing this while he's talking about the Avengers West Coast compound and keeping an eye on the Avengers, because what's happening is in the issues leading up to this, Wanda's life is falling apart. Vision has lost all of his memories and is now White Vision. The twins that they had together turned out to be manifestations of Wanda's powers that pulled from spirits that belonged to Mephisto. So Master Pandemonium and Mephisto just took back her kids. So now she is without her whole family and has become despondent. Mm-hmm. We get maybe the most normal looking costume Wonder Man has worn up to this point, as he's trying to console Wanda. And like they're all just kind of trying to figure out what's happening to Wanda. And there's a lot of conflict between Vision and Wonder Man. And
Wonder Man wants to like transfer his consciousness in the Vision.
So after
they want to do some type of rewrite of their memories.
Yeah, this might be a hole in your lore a little bit.
It definitely is.
Which sounds dirty. Sorry. So let's fill the hole in your lore.
You said it, not me.
I did.
This podcast is X-rated.
X-Men rated. Magneto is in this. So up to this point, so what happened was Vision's... Oh, gosh. Okay, deep breath. Vision's...
Slow down, Kyle. Take it easy.
Vision was taken over by a computer program called Isaac, which was a robot an AI from Titan. I think we actually read an issue that had Isaac in it. So when Vision's mind was taken over, he tried taking over the world. And they stopped him. And as punishment, he had to be dismantled by the government and was like taken apart. So when he was put back together, that's when the original Human Torch returns, and then he becomes White Vision. When he became White Vision, he lost all of his brain patterns that were stolen from Wonder Man. So when Ultron made
it's to restore
Vision,
that.
So up to this point, they wanted to restore it. Wonder Man wouldn't let them because he didn't want to give Vision his brain again because they both loved Scarlet Witch.
And guess what? Surprise, surprise, listeners. Wasp is in a new costume.
What? She is. She's got a wild hairdo, too.
So, 80s flair going.
Anyway, we don't have to dwell on all the continuities, but basically they're arguing over whether Wonder Man should give... Because Wonder Man's finally like, okay, fine, I'll give you my brain patterns. It'll help Wanda wake up from her stupor that she's in.
Yeah,
but now Vision's like, actually, I don't want your brain patterns. I want to be my own man now.
Yeah,
so it's a lot of conflict.
Wonder Woman and Vision, or Wonder Man and Vision are like intrinsically tied together.
Yes.
We talked about it on our Ultron episode, which you can check out on Issues with Cartoons, now on Spotify.
Where you're listening now, just go back an episode and you'll hear our conversation about Wonder Man and Vision.
That's right.
We get a little cutscene with Immortus in Elizabethan times. I don't understand the context other than he erases a timeline from existence, which he is wont to do. But we do get an Immortus cameo here. Immortus has a big connection to all the stuff happening with Wanda at this time in Avengers West Coast. You don't really need to know more than that. But the tie-in to Acts of Vengeance happens first at the beginning with Magneto, but again here with the UFOs showing up. So the UFOs, traditionally a Hulk villain, they show up to fight the Avengers West Coast.
West Coast.
And, you know, it's a cool fight. You get Vapor, you get Ironclad, you get Vector shows up in a weird sort of reality bending way.
Yeah, the art's good, and it's then great. We get the original Human Torch shows up.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So in issue 50, he's resurrected because, again, a lot of Marvel lore. The Vision was thought to be a repurposed android Vision or android Human Torch. The thought was that Ultron took the original Human Torch's robot body and put Wonder Man's brain patterns on it and made it the Vision. John Byrne didn't like that, so he brought the original Human Torch back, and he became a member of the Avengers West Coast. So you get the original Human Torch here.
And he uses Johnny Storm's catchphrase, "Flame on," which I thought was crazy. I'm like,
that's crazy.
I'm like, so you're telling me that original Human Torch heard Johnny say this at some point, and
decided to adopt it and say the same thing.
I don't know.
It just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. I think a new reader would almost think it was Johnny.
Well, did you think it was Johnny? Because you were a new reader.
I mean...
Yeah? If I wasn't in the room... If I wasn't in the room telling you that this was the original Human Torch, would you have thought it was Johnny when you read it?
Maybe they both have yellow hair, but I think the costume is different. He's obviously not in his Fantastic Four. I mean, like, when I read this, I knew something was up with it.
Right.
I was like, that's not Johnny Storm, Human Torch, you know.
So basically, after this...
Put two and two together.
After this big fight with the UFOs, the Vision is kind of in the middle of this fight, and they tell Wanda that the Vision needs her, and that's what wakes her up from her stupor. She kind of hallucinates that he's back to his original self for a second. And then the fight kind of gets wrapped up. Not a whole lot more to say as far as it's related to Acts of Vengeance goes.
It's just another episode of Acts of Vengeance.
Right.
You know?
Again, love the John Byrne art. I mean, whatever I want to say about John Byrne as a writer or as a person, I can't fault the art. The art is spectacular. The fights were good. I liked...
yeah, it's a well-drawn comic.
I liked seeing Magneto in the mix. This is the best Wonder Man costume we have seen so far. Beyond that, any thoughts on Avengers West Coast 53?
Not really. Okay.
Your overall thoughts on Acts of Vengeance so far, having read just 4 of the 400 issues in this crossover.
So Act 1 here, I think it's... I'm just gonna be honest. It's very forgettable.
Yeah.
It's like I
more
read
superheroes
this
fighting
before we
supervillains.
recorded. You know, like, and I was trying to think about it today. I was thinking about, I'm like, what happened? It's in one ear and out the other.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a pop song. You know,
right.
Or something. It's just not remarkable.
So where I think this will get hopefully more engaging, because this is a lot of setup.
Definitely. We're putting characters
Ultimately,
in
what's going to happen is what always happens when supervillains team up. Which is what?
We're going to have a big battle.
They're going to have a big battle, and inevitably, there's going to be some double crossings. That's where I'm hoping we're headed, and I'm hoping that's where we get more interesting things happen. I mentioned that the Red Skull being involved is one of the reasons why I wanted you specifically to read the Captain America issues, because there is a really good turn happening in that book that I think we will get to in the next episode, maybe the episode after. But I'm looking forward to that part.
I'm giving this all a chance, but like my first impressions is I can see why Acts of Vengeance isn't revered. You know, like I can see why people aren't, because like we talked about at the beginning of our conversation, it's foggy.
Yeah.
It's just like it jumps from place to place and
place.
Yeah. The point has not yet emerged.
Quick temperature check. Do you know who the mysterious stranger is? Have you figured that out?
No.
Okay, great. Right, we'll take your temperature next episode. All right. Well, I'm sorry that it was kind of us bashing 4 comics. Well, not really. I really liked Captain America. I liked Avengers West Coast. Avengers was fine. Avengers Spotlight was... The plot of the breakout was interesting, but like you said, that's a trope that we've seen before.
These are 6 out of 10 to me. Like, if I had to put like a ranking on this or a grade or something, you know, it's like 60%. You know, it's like...
the teacher's coming out.
We needed more defining moments.
Yeah.
You know, to really make you stand out.
I think that's why I like the Cap Namor fight, because there's like like a character centerpiece. There's like good fights. Same with the Avengers West Coast. Honestly, like that Wanda arc is very important. Like there's a good emotional thing that's tied into the fight later, and
it is essential for like if you're a fan of Scarlet Witch. You know, this is essential, right?
If you go back a couple issues,
yeah, that's what I mean. But it's part of what I'm getting at is it's part of an important arc. Yeah, it's part of her lore. You know,
for sure.
Fans
God, what a missed opportunity not to have her on this cartoon. Like, what a missed opportunity.
And Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Yeah, what a missed opportunity.
I would have loved to see those characters. I associate them with Avengers.
Just because they were on the team in the 90s, you know, like I associate Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver with the team.
Yeah, 1,000%. All right, well, Carl, give us some 10 out of 10 books that they can find at your website.
You can check out Shogun Bear and the House of Horrors, a graphic novel with my character Shogun Bear. He's a samurai polar bear. He fights ghosts and demons and argues with his best friend Yoza. You can also find my mini comic Captain Devil, inspired by Scott McCloud, a 24-hour comic, and controversial zine Ramsey Tales about Gordon Ramsay and his adventures in hell. Kyle, what do you got on your website?
Ko-fi.com/KyleWindle. Do we say your URL? It's in the show notes if we didn't.
Yeah, they'll find it.
carllucasdraws.com.
Yep.
All right. Ko-fi.com/KyleWindle is my website for now. You can find Cornelius Armstrong. You can find...
Great book.
Thank you. You can find Mad Science Rejects. And you can find Thunderduck. And other offerings. You can commission Carl or myself at our respective websites if you want some personalized art for your wall. You can also follow us on social media. You can follow this show on Bluesky, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, I think, Facebook, I think, not Twitter. You can find us.
R.I.P. Twitter.
You can rate and review us on Spotify. You can subscribe and like on YouTube. And you can email us contact@IssuesWithCartoons.com. And we will be back next week with more issues to come.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Issue with cartoons. Blah 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 blah.
Let's make this a 2-hour show.